Greetings, salutations, how's everybody doing? So if my voice sounds a bit scratchy, I have some decongestion going on. So let's look at an episode of the show Quantum Leap, with the episode Goodnight, Dear Heart. I know what you're probably thinking too as we're talking about this. Yes, it may now be the month of July, so, but unfortunately, I didn't realize this until after I watched this episode, what the big twist of this one was. So, what happened in this episode? Well, in this case, Sam leaps, to 1957 into the body of a mortician investigating the death of a young West German immigrant woman. What at first appears to be a suicide by drowning turns out to be foul play. It's been a while since I watched the show, and I gotta say, rewatching an episode, it feels like, say, okay, I can still say this is why I love this show. Because the characters are all, the character of Sam, and at the same time Al, they are so likable that, even when you're, the idea of, Sam is really trying to get justice for this young woman, that, he eventually goes a bit obsessed with trying to feel say what had happened, and all that. At first, it's things like, oh, we have some, say some things that seem cliche, maybe her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend, in this case, Dreg Truesdale, played by Robert Duncan McNeil. If that Robert Duncan McNeil sounds familiar, he played, Tucker in Star Trek Enterprise. I'm seeing to be whenever I'm watching a show, he'll just appear in the things that I'm just watching. I thought he did a really good job. I also thought that the character of Marcia Cross, who played Stephanie Haywood, she did a pretty good job. At first, playing a character who, at first, we're trying to say, oh, she's the caring friend, the one who you really wouldn't suspect. What ends up happening is in that the character of Hilla, she ends up becoming pregnant, and at first, she had, broke up with, at first, she's best friends with Stephanie. What ends up happening, though, is that apparently Stephanie and Hilla were romantically involved. So, idea of almost lesbian love story in this episode. However, what ends up happening is Stephanie ends up causing Hilla's death by hitting her in the head with a shoe. Almost kind of like this, except it doesn't have a point. This is actually one of my favorites. Yeah, I thought this was a really good episode. I'm kind of glad that I didn't, I'm kind of glad that I didn't, I guess it's good that I didn't end up reviewing this, the last month of June, because I feel I would probably, I don't know if I'd be attacked, or maybe I would just be say, well, we have to start somewhere.
Who said? Jesus.
And if you're interested, though, about this, there was actually a comic book sequel for the character of Stephanie Haywood. She was featured in the comic Up Against a Stone Wall, which is a 9th issue of the Quantum Leap comic book. Sam leaps into Stephanie on June 22nd, 1969, as she's been released from prison for causing Hilla's death. She has continued to develop her photography skills and secured a patron and a job as a fashion photographer in New York City. So, her first model, Clarice, turns out to be a drag queen named Clement. So, Clement is arrested, and what ends up happening is Sam befriends, the folks at Stonewall. Al basically said, say, hey, basically realized, say, oh, hey, there's going to be an attack on this place, and Sam is basically at the pivotal moment of the Stonewall riots. So, yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. Maybe I would want to get that comic. Apparently the author of that comic, he had, one thing he had said about this specific episode, he basically said, what the heck? He basically just criticized the portrayal of the character of Stephanie as well as in Killer, and for the lack of positive gay portrayals in the series. Well, I'm going to think of it like this, yeah, I understand that frustration, especially during this time, when there's not much, not as much, representation when it comes to trans people as well in media nowadays. I guess it's, okay, especially during that time, back in the 90s, it was, before this time, Ellen had not came out yet. So, I bet, it was, okay, well, I guess we can do this, but we can't technically do, what most people would be thinking of when we think of this idea today. But, I'm going to be honest and say, I thought this episode was good. I kind of like the fact that, this was basically, Sam trying to figure out, who killed her and all that, and, it almost becomes a bit of a mystery. So I didn't think this one was too bad. I'll see you next time, though.